Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining me here today. I'm sorry, I can never tell if it's gone live, but I think we're on now. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. I'm your host, Adrienne Bradley, and thanks for joining me here today. It is December 13th, 2023, and this is episode 24 of the Daycare Q&A Show. And if you are joining me live here today, welcome. And if you are coming back, welcome back. Can you do me a favor? Send me some hearts and likes so I can see you. I've said 1,000 times that this dashboard here on Facebook is not the most user-friendly. And I'm going to do what I usually do and keep my laptop open over here next to me so I can see any comments that may come in, because for some reason I can't see it here on my desktop. Anyway, so I always start off the show by doing a little housekeeping, and the first thing I want to say is I got the dogs outside this morning, so you won't hear them in the background, so no barking, hopefully not even from outside. And so I start the show usually with a bit of a disclaimer, and just to say that any of the questions that I address here are based on my own opinion, based on my experience, 20 years running a childcare business on my own, or or a provider that I'm close to, that had an experience that might be relevant. But I know that not everything is for everyone. So take what works. If you hear something that works for you, we're just here to provide you with a different outlook, different mindset, different opinion, so that you can maybe work out something that might be you might be experiencing in your own business. But again, if it doesn't work for you, then don't worry about it. Do what works best for your own business, and take what works and leave the rest. It's probably for someone else. And I say this all the time, that that's what we're here for, because I love a rant, but a solution trumps a rant in my book. So if you agree, then this is the place for you. All right, so let's see. If you are joining me live, or even if you're catching this on replay and you have a question, please go ahead and put them in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to be monitoring the comments over here, so hopefully I can catch any that may come in. But if you're catching this on replay, you can leave it in the comments as well. And I will either try and address it on the show if you are joining me live, or I will come back after the show if you are catching it on replay. Okay? And lastly, we have our weekly giveaway, and I'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But if you do, one other thing, if you do catch this on replay, or if you have to leave early and you're catching this live but you have to leave early, I know you're busy, so just know that the replays go up on our YouTube channel the following day, and I believe there's a link in the description. If not, I'll come back and leave it later, where you can go over and catch the rest of this show, or get caught up on some of the previous shows. Like I said, this is our 24th show, so I would love it if you did that and supported us over on our YouTube channel. Okay? All right, so let's see what's going on in the Thriving Childcare universe. So first, today I want to say that our show is sponsored by, let me see if I can get it right this time, the provider, planner, and organizer behind me. That's our striped edition. It is our luxury planner for childcare providers, just for childcare providers. And I've been saying this. I know if you've heard me say this again, say this before, I apologize, but I stand behind it. This is the best time to get your planner for the new year. The holidays, I don't need to tell you, are in full swing now, and you can use the planner for your the rest of this month, any of the projects that you might need to plan, or events that you don't want to forget. So now is the best time to get your planner. You can have your planner in your hands by next week, so you'll get it even before Christmas. Maybe it's an early Christmas gift to yourself and to your business. So there is a link in the description for you to go over and check out the planner. And even if you go over and check it out, because there's a free holiday planner that you can download and use today as well. So you don't even have to wait for that. So go over and get your free planner. There is a link in the description for you to go over and check that out. Okay? All right. So let's see what else is going on. Okay, so this week on the blog, by the way, I am the founder and author of the Thriving Childcare blog. So this week on the blog, I wrote about Santa's playbook. So, and his secrets for success that we can adopt in our childcare business. So it's pretty lighthearted, but it's a quick read. But whether you realize it or not, if you think about it, Santa's got a pretty good business going for himself. He does. And in the spirit of how Santa makes us feel, this post addressed some of the business tactics that he used that we could adopt to, infuse that type of feeling that Santa gives to us in our own businesses. So, and of course, we're talking about the spirit of Christmas. We're talking about how that makes us feel, and incorporating that along with some other good business practices that are inspired by Santa himself. So go over and read the post. There's a link in the description for you to go over and read the post. Like I said, it's a quick read, but it might be fun to see if you keep the spirit of Christmas in mind and look at some of these tactics that Santa uses, or we can assume that Santa is using. Yeah, it might be fun to figure out how to incorporate that in our own childcare businesses. So go over and check that out, please. Okay, so this morning I'm going to get into some questions, and they're all related to the holidays. I don't know if you can tell I'm dressed for the holidays. I don't want to do that. Maybe that's a little bit better. So yeah, I got these green hats and over the weekend, and I said, oh, you know what? I'll wear that. I would wear it around the childcare too. The kids love seeing stuff like that, right? And my husband, he has the red version that he's worn for years, and he's wearing it at his job today. And I was talking to him earlier, and somebody passed him and said, I love seeing the hat. It really makes me feel like the Christmas spirit, or it really makes me happy. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And he said he was going to wear it. I just didn't believe him. But yeah, so that's why I have my little hat on. I also have a t-shirt. I don't think you can see it on screen, but it's my my gingerbread cookie baking t-shirt I got for when I made cookies with, or decorated cookies with my grandkids last year. And I got them all t-shirts, and I thought, this is the perfect time for me to bust out my t-shirt. Wait until you see the one I wear next week. I'll stand up so you can see this one a little bit. Cookie Baking Crew. I thought these were so cute. Anyway, okay. So let me go to the planner and see if there's, I know we've got, everybody knows that Christmas is in, like, where are we at? We're at 13. We've got 12 days. Literally 12 days. But today is the 13th. So did you know that the 17th of December is National Maple Syrup Day? National Maple Syrup Day. So, like I said, a lot of these events that are in the planner can lead to fun activities, projects, and maybe inspire some meals. So maybe on National Maple Syrup Day, I know, I really try to avoid giving the kids at the childcare maple syrup, because it just, all that sugar, right? And so whenever I would make pancakes, I would use a trick that I incorporated from my own family. My family actually makes their own syrup, not commercially or anything, but they would make it for the family, right? So we have a specific recipe that we make our maple syrup with, and you use this maple syrup extract, right? And I asked my cousin about this years ago, and she actually sent me some. So thanks, cousin. She sent me two maple syrup extract, and you can't find it everywhere. So I was really glad she did that. But anyway, what I started to do when she sent that to me was, instead of putting maple syrup on top of the pancakes, I would put a little bit of the maple syrup extract in the pancake batter. So it tasted like maple syrup, but without all of the syrup. The syrup. So maybe just something like that. And so the kids won't be super hopped up on sugar. I know there's a little bit of sugar in pancakes typically, but yeah, see if you can find that maple syrup extract. If I can find a source online, I will drop it here later in the replay so you can check it out. But yeah, and we're going to be talking about incorporating family traditions and family things into the holiday, even at the childcare, in a little while when we get into the questions. But so yeah, so December 17th is National Maple Syrup Day. I believe Hanukkah has started. Oh, and on December 18th, it is Bake Cookies Day. So you saw my t-shirt earlier. That is another perfect day for me to bust out this t-shirt, but also to maybe, and I don't know what day the 18th is on. Oh, it's on Monday. It's next Monday. So the 17th is on Sunday. Well, I don't know. If your childcare isn't open on Sunday, typically most of us aren't. Maybe think about doing the pancake thing on Monday. But also on Monday is Bake Cookies Day. You could do that. Maybe bake some cookies with the kids. Have them use roll out some cookie dough or some gingerbread dough that you make or that you pick up from the store, and yeah, have them cut out some cookies, and you can bake them and maybe decorate them. That would be so much fun. That's what I told you I did with my grandkids last year, and it was a blast. They had so much fun just making a mess with all the icing and everything. So so the 18th is Bake Cookies Day. And let's see, the 19th, which is next Tuesday, and then I'll stop. The 19th is Oatmeal Muffin Day. So maybe you want to think about finding a recipe for oatmeal muffins. I have a group. I'll put a link to the group. It's a group associated with Thriving Childcare on Facebook, and it's all about recipes. It's called the Childcare Chef, and it's all about recipes to use in the childcare. And I'll probably be dropping some cookie recipes and an oatmeal muffin recipe over there. So if you want to go and check it out or join the group, I'll leave a link to that a little bit later. So yeah, so there's some fun events coming up in the next week that maybe you didn't know about. And those are the type of things that are in the planner, things that we can use that maybe are not, we're not aware of or we haven't done before. But this is about, doing new things in new ways and keeping things fresh and exciting and fun. So go over and check out the planner and go over and check out the group. And yeah, okay. All right. So with all that being said, let's get into some of the questions today. And what I have started to do is to ask you a question. And this week, I have two questions for you. So if you're joining me live, feel free to answer the question in the comments. And if you're catching this on replay, just go ahead and answer it in, or answer it in the chat now. And if you're catching this on replay, go ahead and answer it in the comments. So the first question is, and I put this on Facebook, I think on Monday. How do you manage running your childcare business while balancing the holiday season with family and other obligations. So a lot of us this time of the year have family coming in from out of town, and we have these different events to go to, maybe some parties, maybe family gatherings, and we might be still running our childcare. And I'm just wondering how you manage that. Do you take these 2 weeks leading up to Christmas off? Do you take, I was talking about a question last week where a parent had the question because their childcare was closed for 3 weeks over the holidays. Is that something you do as well? And then it makes it a lot easier to manage this whole thing with managing family and business. Or do you take the week of Christmas off? I know a lot of providers do that, and maybe just do all of your holiday projects and everything earlier in the month, like now or since the first of the month. So that's the first question. How do you balance that? Do you think you balance it well? Do you think you need to make some changes for next year, or what? So fill me in. Let me know how you do that. And the second question I have, and this is just really spur of the moment, but I got a picture. I probably shouldn't show the picture, but this is a Christmas card that I get from this one former client every year, and I took care of all 3 of her kids. The oldest one, not for very long. I think it was during the holiday breaks and whatnot. But the other 2 started in my childcare, and they moved out of state. I'm in California. They moved to Tennessee, and I miss them so very much. They were absolutely awesome. The best family, one of the best families that I've had. And I hope that you have that. I hope that you have families that are just awesome and treat you well and think of you even years after they've left your care. It's just so great to see the kids that are growing and thriving, and how big they are. I can't believe how big they are and how long ago they were so little. But yeah, I hope that you have families in your care like that. But my question is this, and I'm scrolling up to make sure I don't miss anything. Hi, Deborah Hurley. Thank you. She says I take no weeks off for Christmas, just Christmas Eve and Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year's. I'm open through the holidays. All right. I used to do that too, Deborah. I used to do that. As a matter of fact, I think I talked about it last week. Yeah. I had there were years where I didn't take off any time at all, and I think I wound up working a couple of times on Christmas Eve, and it wasn't enough time for me to be off, so I made the adjustment over the years. But I remember one year in particular where I worked a half a day on Christmas Eve, and I still needed to do some shopping myself, but I felt compelled that I needed to do this for my clients. And if you can believe, she was annoyed that I had said just half a day. And she was like, well, I didn't get done with it, whatever I had to do. And I was like, wow, I didn't get to do any of what I needed to do. I mean, and this is before, shopping online was really big and everything like that. I probably could have handled most of what I had to do if that had been available. But, yeah, so I made the change. I made the change to take more time off during the holidays. And we're going to get into some questions today about that other providers have about managing that and handling that and doing some things. But Denitra Scott, she joined us and she says, hello, everybody. Hi, Denitra. So, yeah, but do your families, here's my second question. Do your families send you Christmas cards? And they could be your current clients or former clients. Do you send out Christmas cards? I told my husband when he handed me this Christmas card last night, this picture, I was reminded that I said to him this week I was going to send out my Christmas cards. I'm talking about just a family. And I have not even started that. So today's Wednesday. I think I will send out 3 cards today. And my list isn't that long, so I figured if I sent one out every day, then I would get them out. Pray for me. I'm going to try. I'm going to put that on my daily planner today and try and get that done. But yeah, so question 2 is, do you send out Christmas cards? Do your clients send you Christmas cards every year? Yeah, just put in the chat or in the comments your answer to those questions. And I'm going to keep this picture right next to my desk the rest of the season. I'm so glad that they think of me and still send me a Christmas card. All right, so let's get into the questions for today. And the first question is, okay, where am I? I'm looking at my notes, guys. Okay, it says, hey, I really hadn't planned to, but I need some time off over the next 2 weeks. But I didn't tell my clients in advance. What should I do? Yeah, see, that's hard, because I can totally understand. That's what I was saying. I realized that I was just running myself ragged, okay? Trying to do too much, if you will. And that's just for me. For some people, like I said, now we do have options to shop online. And for me, anyone who knows me, that's preferable, because driving and parking and all of that just adds to my stress level around this time of year. So if I can have it delivered here, and guys, watch the news, because even those deliveries are getting kind of rough because of all of the crime and such that are going on. But if I'd had the option to shop online years ago, that would have probably alleviated a lot of the stress and the running around and errands and doing all that kind of stuff, especially buying for the daycare kids and my family, and grocery shop, all that kind of stuff. It just, for me, that is the way to go. That's how I manage it. But getting back to this question, first of all, I would suggest to this provider to poll your clients and see who's actually going to need care on which days. Because I know a lot of providers tell me around this year that a lot of their clients don't show up. They don't, they might be going out of town themselves. They might have family in town that wants to spend time with the kids. And you might find that, you have very low enrollment these next couple of weeks. And if you you might find out that nobody's going to come, depending on, your clientele and whatnot. And if that's the case, then you can just kind of tell them, okay, so I'm not going to be, or the childcare is not going to be open for the next 2 weeks because, there's not a need, and make it clear. I would still say that. And you guys tell me what you think, but I would still say that, so that at the last minute they don't jump up and say, oh, you know what, I need to run to the mall, let me drop them off in childcare. Thinking that, it's just a regular week. So I would first poll my clients and kind of get an indication of when they plan to be, if they plan to be at the childcare or using the childcare over the next 2 weeks. That's the first thing. If you do find out that your clients are going to be coming, then maybe suggest to them a half a day, like I was just explaining that I did with that client many years ago. And most usually will understand. Like I said, a lot of times parents are off during this time of the year themselves. Not everyone has that set up, but a lot of them do. And so they might be using the childcare to, for when they need to go run these errands and take care of different things during the holidays themselves, and not necessarily because they're going to work. So maybe see if you can work something where it's a half a day, or a half a week. Maybe the week of Christmas, the way the Christmas works this year is Christmas Day. Christmas Eve is on Sunday and Christmas Day is on Monday. So we have that weekend before Christmas to finish, our shopping and anything else. But maybe next week, because where are we now? Today's the 13th. Maybe next week, see if they would be okay with a half a day. And I say them be okay with it, but you can say we're open, but it's a half day. And, try and work it out like that. The last thing I'll say is, I think I talked about this last week, about leaving a note to myself. And I'm going to be doing this whole planning for 2024 coming up really, really soon, right after the holidays, and I'll let you know when that is. But one of the key things to do when planning for the new year is to pay attention to what worked and what didn't work in the past year. And this is one of those times where you might want to make a note to yourself about your holiday schedule, specifically around this time of year, and what worked and what didn't work. So if you find that you need some time off, like this provider is saying, then pay attention to that and make the change so that next year you already have that scheduled. You already have that planned. You can give your clients plenty of notice. You can remind them around Thanksgiving that next month, Christmas week, we are closed, or whatever you decide. And so you don't feel guilty like I did, and I talked about this last week, felt guilty that I didn't give them enough notice, or that I didn't remind them, or whatever, and wind up feeling obligated to take the child even on the day that I had planned to be off. Okay, so that would be my advice. What would you guys say to this provider? Have you been in that situation where you are just exhausted and you need some time off, but you haven't let your clients know? How did you handle it? Go ahead and type in the chat or put in the comments what you would advise to this provider. I'm going to go, and I see that there's some comments here. Deborah Hurley says, I only have a couple that send family Christmas pictures and postcards. It's nice to see how they've all grown. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when I looked at this card. Yeah, it is kind of cool. And it's so cool that they still think of you, and this is years later. I have some childcare children that were in my childcare, and they are in college. And yeah, it's just amazing to see the years. They fly by. Denitra Scott says, I found that parents will say they are coming just to make sure I'd be available in case they need me. Now I close early during Christmas and the New Year. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said, really kind of see, you know what? I said poll them, but sometimes they will, what's the word? They will offer or already tell you that they're going out of town and they're not going to be in town for this week or that week. A volunteer, that's the word I was looking for. They will volunteer that information, and you won't have to ask them specifically, because if you ask them, she's right, a lot of times they'll say, oh yeah, probably, or something. But you know what, another way that I try to ask them is to tell them, well, because I need to plan the meals, because if nobody's going to be here, I don't want to buy a bunch of food for nobody who's going to be here. So that's another reason to know who's going to be here, when, and yeah. So, but she's right. A lot of times they will say that. And Deborah Hurley says, you ever have kids that grow up and have kids in your care? Not yet. Not yet. I haven't. Deborah, did you have that happen? That's amazing. That would be really amazing. You know how you see those things in movies where there's I know in Forrest Gump there was the bus driver who had taken him to school, and then at the end of the movie she was the same bus driver, and she was taking his son to school, and it just is so cool to see stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. So those are my suggestions for this provider. Let me know, put in the comments, put in the chat what you would suggest, but I would definitely say pay attention to this, write this down, write a note to yourself. Like I said, I have a note to next time is what I call it, or a note to next year rather, that reminds me about something that I want to change. I want to change in my policies, or I want to change in the way that I handle something, and I will leave a note and breadcrumbs to myself so that I remember. A couple more comments here. Let's see. Deborah Hurley says, I contract 5 mental health days through the year that I get paid for, so as long as I give advance notice, I have time off. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably something, she says she has had kids from previous kids in her daycare. A lot of times that's where we feel bad because we haven't given advance notice. But I'm almost certain that that's something that Deborah adopted over time because she wanted to make a change in the way that she handled that, or in her policies, or in her scheduling. So pay attention to that. You can make changes. Like I said early in this episode, in every episode, this is your business, and you can make changes, okay? And as long as you let your clients know what your policies and procedures are from the beginning, maybe when you do make a change, maybe sometimes we feel like we can't make the change because we've started off one way and this would be different now. But that happens all the time. That happens in life all the time. People change policies and procedures for just about everything in our life. At some point, there's some change to it. So as long as you, like Deborah was saying, give your clients advance notice, then you should take that time. You should abide by whatever the new policies and procedures are that you are adapting, because it will make your business better. It will make you better if you have the time to rest and recoup that you need. You're taking care of children, and you need time to rest and recoup so that you're the best version of yourself, the best version of the provider that you are to and for the families that you care for. So think of it that way. A lot of times we think, you know, we've got to be there for these families, and we are, but we've also got to be there for ourselves and for our families as well. And if we don't pay attention to that, it will bubble to the top. It will. And it'll affect your business in probably not in a positive way. So you don't want that. I don't want that. So think about these things. Think about making these changes in the coming year, if that's what you decide you want to do. Yeah, Deborah Hurley says, I take those days to make sure I don't get burnt out. Exactly. And I think a lot of us, when we come into this profession, we don't know how real burnout is. It's real, okay? It's real. So if you just think about the number of hours that you work all day long, all week long, all month long, and add that up at the end of the year, it's way more than the average worker, and it can have a toll. So pay attention to these things. Make the changes where you need to. Your parents will adapt. I promise you they will. When the kids go to school, and I brought this up last week, when the kids go to school, there's a whole nother schedule, and you better believe that they are not open the week of Christmas, or even the week before, and not New Year's either. So if they can adapt to that, they can adapt to the changes that you make in your schedule as well. They don't have a choice. They will. Okay? All right, let me move on. Let's see. It says, the next question says, Adrienne, what would you do when parents don't want to pay this month for holiday time off? Oh, yeah. That comes up a lot too. So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had to deal with that. Probably. and how you handled it. But I will say this, and I will leave a link to a resource that we have over in the shop that are these flyers, and they're holiday flyers where you can post next to your sign-in sheet or on your parent board, or even send out in a text or an email, and it allows you to fill in the days that your tuition is due this month or through the holidays. Okay, because depending on, the days change every year, depending on when your tuition is due, and when the actual holidays fall, those things can change from year to year. So that you can use that resource to post it, for your own clients. But here's another thing that I feel like Deborah was saying, she puts those mental health days in her contract. I did the same thing. I would list out the holidays that are observed all year long, and that is in the contract. For me, my handbook, and it could be different, and Denitra, let me know what maybe you did and some people that did, but my handbook is kind of just an expansion of some things that are in the contract. Maybe a little bit more detail, but they kind of mirror each other, if you know what I mean. But in the contract and in my handbook, it lists out the days that the child care is closed, in observance of which holidays. Okay, and since I started 20 plus years ago, those have changed, right? There's new holidays that were added. There's some that changed, and maybe were omitted. I don't know. But along with that, along with where you put the tuition, the tuition details, there should be a blurb that refers them to look at the holidays schedule as well. Hold on. To advise your clients that tuition still is expected, if that's what your policy is. Because you're going to run into this. A lot of parents, maybe new parents, maybe they haven't been in childcare before, maybe they didn't read the contract, maybe they presumed that tuition wouldn't be expected when they don't come. This happens not just around the holidays. This happens when vacation happens or on other holidays. Maybe they presume these things, and sometimes you need to call it out and let them know, no. Tuition is due. Tuition is still to be paid on this day, and if you tell them a specific day, then you'll know if they're late or not. Because like I said, it could be people are going out of town, people are having different events, they may not show up a day here, a day there, like we were talking about earlier. So being very specific, I believe in very, very specific about when tuition is due, how it's due, how it is to be submitted. What I mean by that is the date, the time, or the day and the time, like say Friday, but before noon. And if there's a date because of a holiday, if that changes, then put that. And by Cash App, Venmo, check, cash, whatever you accept. And I believe in being very, very specific about that. And I said a couple episodes ago that I was going to do a training on putting up a how to pay sign. And I still plan on doing that. Hopefully I will get that done before the end of the year, but if not, it will be one of the first things we do in the new year. Because I think you should make it easy for them to pay you. So if you can offer a few different payment methods, then that way, let's say somebody left already, they forgot to pay tuition, you can call them up and say, oh, well, you can just send it through Cash App, or you can send it through Venmo, or you can send it through Zelle. Not everybody uses those forms of payment, but if you have a way to make it easier for your clients to pay you, I don't even know who uses checks. I think we use checks for two things in our lives at this point. It almost is a waste of money to buy the checks, at least in my household. So I don't know. But it's fine if that's the way you accept payment, or cash or whatever. But maybe thinking about offering another payment method. But to this, and put in the chat, put in the comments what you would do or have done when parents were inquiring about not having to pay or wanting to not have to pay. Like I've said in previous episodes, I remind my clients every week. I will send out a text, and it has a little post-it note on the text that says, don't forget, tuition's due tomorrow. And I send that out on Thursday so that Friday I don't get the, oh, I forgot, I ran out of checks, whatever. And I do that so that they understand that I'm not forgetting because I can get busy, but I'm not forgetting that tuition is due, and I'm actually helping. I'm reminding. I'm helping them. At least that's the way I see it, and that's the way I bill it. It's just this just a little friendly reminder. And for those that, as I said before, a lot of my clients pay monthly. So I would say disregard this, or I wouldn't send it to them. I would send it to the ones that pay weekly, because I'm not trying to annoy people, but I make it a habit of doing that. So, and to this point, to this question, I'm going to check out the comments in a second, but to this question, go back, and maybe this is the time to look at your payment procedure and policy like I was talking about a few moments ago, and make sure that it's clear. Make sure that you do have that noted in your contract or your handbook or wherever it is, and that it's something that you have notified your clients about, whether it's the fact that these are paid holidays and that tuition is expected, and what happens if it isn't paid, or if it's late. Make sure all those details are laid out. I mean, I know, and I've said here before, that I didn't expect to have to deal with some issues. When I started my business, I didn't expect to have to deal with these details. I mean, it just seemed common sense that people would pay on time. Common sense isn't common. Everybody agree? It is not common. And that being the case, we do have to be specific. We have to be detailed. We have to enforce these policies and procedures, because people will take advantage. And I know that's not everybody's experience, and I'm glad. But I had several experiences like that over the years. And it can be stressful. It can cause some real issues in your cash flow. It can make you change your policies and procedures. But just because you change your policies and procedures does not mean you don't have to enforce them. So let me check out the comments here. Deborah Hurley says, I have a lockbox outside my door for late payments and payments due when I'm closed. And she uses Apple Pay. Absolutely. That's great. I hadn't thought about Apple Pay. Yeah, that's another way to use that. Deborah, that's really cool. But yeah, have a box. I have, over the years, I went to, I think I've talked about it before, I put a box. I found this cute little box at a thrift store, and it was red, and it was meant to be hung on the wall. So you just put a screw in and it would hang on the wall. And it's this cute little metal box. And I put the words on it, tuition payments go here. So that in the morning when I'm cooking breakfast or I'm changing a diaper or whatever's going on, people aren't handing me checks or cash or whatever. And I have lost checks years ago. I had lost checks because of that. You know, I don't know where I put it and what have you. So I set that up. It was a better procedure for me and my business for me to say, okay, they go here. So at the tour or when they enroll, I say, this is where tuition payments go every week or every month, whatever. Okay. And they would just get in the habit of putting them there. So, like I said, you do adapt and make changes over time that work better for your business and your situation. Denitra Scott says if they refuse to pay, there is a breakdown in the relationship that probably was never built. If they refuse to pay, release them. Simple as that. If they refuse to pay, you might have that circumstance. I hope that you don't. But yeah, because she's absolutely right. If you let this go or make it like it's no big deal, I promise you it will come back again and again and again. And that's just not for tuition payments or tuition issues. For any policies and procedures that you may have in your business, if you are the first one to break the policy by saying, oh, okay, but for you it's fine, or no big deal, or whatever you say, you're giving the impression that that policy and procedure has no weight. And so the next time they'll figure it's no big deal again. And this will become their routine, whether it's paying late or whatever, not paying at all, and just expecting you to roll with it. And I know it can be hard. Denise is right. I know it can be hard, though, to let go of clients. But in this case, like she's saying, there's a breakdown in the relationship. And this is presuming you've been very clear about your policies and procedures around your tuition. And they refuse to pay. Then they're not paying you anyway, in other words. So letting go of this client really shouldn't be that hard. They're not paying. Get a paying client to replace them. And that's just it. That's just it. So I hope that answered your question. Like I said, leave a comment in the comments about how you would handle it or how you've handled it when you had parents that didn't want to pay for holidays or days off that they didn't bring their child to the childcare. Let's see, I saw another comment come. Deborah Hurley says, I contract that payments are due the week before care services, and this keeps everyone paying before Monday because they can't drop off Monday without that and late fees. Exactly. That was one of the reasons why I moved to Friday as well. The payment is due actually before noon on Friday, and that's so that I can get it to the bank. If you bring it at pickup on Friday, then I can't get it to the bank until Monday. So anyway, that's what worked best for me, and the same thing for Deborah. And again, they'll get into the habit of doing that so that maybe they won't be paying attention to the fact that the holiday is next week or whatever. They're used to paying on Friday for the coming week. And she's right. If they don't walk in with it on Monday, and that's what I was told when I made that change as well, then you know that they can't, or they should know that they can't drop off without that payment. Okay, I'm going to move on so we don't go too long today. It is giveaway time. It's giveaway time. So this week's giveaway is just like last week's giveaway. It is the holiday telephone memo. So there's a link in the comments for you to go over and get the holiday telephone memo, which helps you keep track of any potential client inquiries during this time of the year, and you can get all the information down on your holiday memo so that you don't lose a scratched piece of paper with somebody's number on it and you can't find it, you can't call them back. And I think this is important, just like I was saying earlier, there's parents that might need care just during the next 2 weeks. And if you are open, that might be an opportunity to, number one, have an infusion of more income, but also to expose people to your business as a whole so that they know maybe they need to enroll their child, or maybe they're going to need drop-in care. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm coughing a lot today. Maybe they might need drop-in care in the future, and them being introduced to your business this way, then hopefully they'll remember and they'll use you again. So go over and get the holiday telephone memo and grab that. And you can also check out the provider planner and organizer. I always go the wrong way. The provider planner and organizer as well, because the giveaway for the $84 accessory pack is still going on, so you can enter to win that. And the way you enter is if you do purchase your planner now and purchase your planner, then you'll be entered to win the accessory pack, and the accessory pack that goes with the planner is worth $84. So do go over and check that out, but go over and get your telephone memo as well. All right, I'm going to get to the last question here today. And this question is around Christmas as well, around the holidays. And this question says, I'm really struggling with how to handle incorporating Christmas time at the childcare with my own family traditions and families at my childcare who have different beliefs. Any thoughts or advice? Thanks a bunch. So this can be hard. I think I shared on I think it was back in October, I was talking about how I had a client that didn't acknowledge or celebrate Halloween. And that was based on her beliefs, her religion and her beliefs. And that was fine. The issue that I had in that situation was that she had the anticipation that because she didn't celebrate it, we weren't going to celebrate it here at the childcare. And I had to explain to her that that wasn't the case. Now, I don't, or I didn't in my business use my religious representations of my religious beliefs at the childcare. I made the separation of church and state there for my business, if you will. But most of the holidays that were celebrated are secular holidays. And I let them know, I let my clients know that we did celebrate Easter with an Easter egg hunt. We did, let's see, what else? There's not too many that center around the religious beliefs, but Christmas is one of them. So we had the tree and representations of Santa and Santa's village and the elves and all of that. But these are all secular stories, fables, fictional characters. Okay. So, getting back to this question, and please let me know, how do you guys deal with that? Because we live in a very diverse society now, right? And I mentioned earlier that Hanukkah has started, and I should look at the calendar and see when that was, because I don't want to misrepresent or state something that isn't something that I'm aware of. But how do you handle that? How do you handle that? Because people do have different beliefs and different customs. In my family, we have the tradition of putting up the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is up now, and putting in and decorating and putting gifts under the tree and so forth. And that was something that my business is in my home. That wasn't something that I was going to stop doing. But my clients were aware of the holidays that we celebrated. That was in the handbook as well. So having a conversation maybe at enrollment to talk about what is celebrated, what's done. There are religions that don't celebrate birthdays. And but at the childcare, we did celebrate each child's birthday with a cupcake and singing happy birthday to them. If I'd had a client that didn't want that to happen, then I would have definitely respected that and done what they asked when it came to their child. But when it came to the other children, we were still going to do those celebrations. Luckily, I didn't have to navigate that. But what do you guys think? Is it uncomfortable? Have you ever had a client that didn't want to partake in something that you were doing as far as celebrating a holiday or a tradition or something that they didn't believe in at your childcare? How did you handle that? Put it in the chat, put it in the comments. Again, just like with most of these issues, I think that being very upfront, communicating these things to your families at enrollment, maybe using a newsletter to announce and remind your clients about different policies and different things that go on at the childcare is another good form of communicating with them throughout the year. And you don't have to put one out every week, maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter. But maybe thinking about different ways to communicate with your clients about the things that go on at the childcare, so that they don't feel put off, they don't feel like they were uninformed or unaware, and you're being upfront with them about how you're running your business. Like I said earlier, this is your business, so you have every right to make how you run your business how you run your business. Denisha Scott says, I downplay Christmas, but it's a great time to talk about standing up for your beliefs and values. That's true. That's very much true. I mean, that situation I was talking about earlier with my client who didn't celebrate or acknowledge Halloween. We had a conversation. And I think it's important to do that, because sometimes people in general can get wrapped up in themselves, and they need to maybe think about it from another person's perspective or another way, because this is something that parent was going to need to deal with ongoing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so how are you going to talk to your child about Halloween or the things that they might see up in here? How are you going to deal with that as they get older? How are you going to explain to them what your beliefs are and navigate that with their child? So a lot of times parents, especially young new parents, don't, just like I was saying earlier about me not realizing I was going to have to deal with certain things when it came to this business, they don't realize some of the things that they're going to encounter too, like their child getting sick and what to do when that happens, when they have a job, so having these conversations, we shouldn't shy away from them. We should take the opportunity to have a dialogue and communicate using different ways maybe with our clients, so that they know that we're not trying to alienate them, but still standing firm in our values and beliefs as well. Denisha Scott said, meaning a great conversation to have with the children. Yeah, it is a good conversation to have. I think the parents should have the conversation with their child. We talk about in society often about government or different entities overstepping with our children and having conversations that we may or may not think are appropriate. That doesn't mean that we don't need, as parents, to have those conversations with the children. So in this situation, standing firm on your values and beliefs, and thinking about, if you're thinking about starting your childcare, if you haven't started your childcare yet, or if, like I was talking about earlier, leaving a note to yourself about next time or next year, think about how you will celebrate these different events, these different calendar days, how you are going to celebrate them at the childcare, and how you celebrate them personally, and is there a disconnect, is there an issue, and what you would say to your clients when you're enrolling them. Okay, we celebrate Easter. This is how we celebrate Easter. For my child, it's a big event. Parents are invited. We have a big Easter egg hunt, and this is how we celebrate it. Okay, for Christmas, this is what we do for Christmas. So that if a parent inquires, well, what do you do for this holiday? You have thought about it. You know what you want to say to them about how you do that at your business. Okay, so this has been great. This has been great. All about the holidays. All about the holidays. I know a lot of us deal with a lot of different issues around this time of the year, along with maybe being stressed out and overworked and tired as well. So this is a good conversation to have and to think about. So if you're catching this on replay, I would love your comments to any of these issues we've addressed today. Okay? All right. Let's see. Before I let you go, if you have any questions that you would like me to address on the show, you don't have to wait for the show. You don't have to put in the comments for the show. You can submit it early, and then I can get it early and address it right here on the show. Just go to thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question. That's thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question, and you can leave a question for next week's show, and I will address it here. All right. And with that, I am Adrienne Bradley. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Deborah and Denitra. I appreciate you joining me live. And if you're catching this on replay, I appreciate you as well. So say hi to me in the comments so I can say hi to you. And I'm your host for the Daycare Q&A Show, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you next week. Until then, keep thriving. See you next week. Hey, thanks for joining me today. And listen, if you're vibing with the Daycare Q&A Show, guess what? You're in for an absolute treat when you dive into the Not Just for New Providers Club. You're going to love all of the courses, resources, and support you'll find inside our membership just for childcare owners. Our courses, workshops, resources, and services are designed to help you create the thriving childcare business you dream of, without all of the overwhelm of feeling like you're on this childcare journey alone. It's like our secret hangout for all of us amazing childcare enthusiasts, and I'm your enthusiastic guide. Forget about those never-ending, mind-boggling mega module trainings or programs that leave you feeling like you've just run a marathon without any real direction. We're all about keeping it simple and steering clear of those overwhelming processes. Instead, we're here to help you set up actionable business systems that practically run on autopilot, giving you more time to binge watch your favorite TV shows or maybe just catch up on some well-deserved sleep. As an extra bonus, you'll also get instant access to our childcare template subscription, our ever-growing template library designed to make running your business smoother than a baby's bottom. Curious? Well, here's the best part. You can test the waters with our $7 one-week trial. Click the link in the comments and grab your trial membership today. Let's dive into childcare awesomeness together. I'll be waiting to high-five you on the inside. See you there.